You never think the day will come when your own child looks you in the eye and says, "Mom, you're not welcome at my wedding." It sounds like a scene from some bad soap opera, right? The kind of drama you watch on TV and think, wow, thank God my family isn't like that. But this was my reality. I raised my daughter for 25 years. I stayed up with her when she was sick, cheered her on at every school recital, helped her through her first heartbreak, and worked myself into exhaustion to pay for her college education. I wasn't a perfect mom, but God knows I gave her everything I had, and yet, a week before her wedding, she sat across from me in a little cafe and said, with a straight face, "Mom, I don't think it's a good idea for you to come to the wedding. Dad's wife isn't comfortable with it. She feels like it would make things awkward." Awkward. That was the word she used. I stared at her, numb, while she stirred her latte like she was asking me to stop by the store for milk, not uninviting me from the single most important day of her life. But what she didn't know, what no one at that table knew, was that she was about to regret that decision in ways she couldn't possibly imagine, because I had a secret. And her perfect fairy tale wedding was balanced on a foundation that I controlled. My ex-husband, Daniel, and I divorced when my daughter, Lily, was 14. The split was messy, painful, and humiliating. He left me for a woman I'll call Vanessa, a woman 10 years younger, with bleached hair, endless cash, and a talent for making me feel invisible. Daniel and I shared custody, but let's be real, when the parent with money and a shiny new family comes into play, the other parent quickly becomes background noise. I was the background noise. I worked 2 jobs to keep our small house, to pay Lily's school fees, and to make sure she never went without. Meanwhile, Daniel and Vanessa swept her off on European vacations, bought her designer clothes, and slowly, methodically positioned themselves as the fun parents, and it worked. By the time Lily was in college, she barely came home. When she did, she'd talk about Vanessa as though she were some saint. "She's just so understanding, Mom. She always listens to me. She makes me feel like an adult." Every time she said it, a little piece of me withered. But I kept quiet. I told myself, she'll grow up. She'll see the truth one day. All I can do is keep loving her. And then came the engagement. When Lily got engaged, I cried. Happy tears, at first. I imagined helping her shop for dresses, baking cookies for the bridal shower, fastening my mother's heirloom necklace around her neck before she walked down the aisle. But as the planning went on, I noticed something strange. I wasn't being included. She didn't ask me to help with the dress. She didn't tell me about the venue until after it was booked. She skipped right over me when choosing her mother of the bride role, instead giving that honor to, you guessed it, Vanessa. I swallowed it all. Every sting, every humiliation. I told myself, at least I'll still be there. At least I'll still get to see her say, I do. And then, the cafe conversation. "Mom, you're not invited." Those words cut deeper than any betrayal I'd ever felt. I went home that night and sat in the dark, staring at old photo albums of Lily as a baby. Her first steps, her first Halloween costume, her gap-toothed smile in kindergarten. I had given everything to this girl, and she tossed me aside like I was nothing. I cried until my body couldn't produce tears anymore. But somewhere in the middle of that night, grief turned into something else. Resolve, because Lily may have chosen Vanessa over me, but what she didn't know was this. When Daniel and Vanessa bragged about paying for the wedding, that wasn't entirely true. The venue deposit? Mine. The catering deposit? Mine. The flowers? The music? The photographer? All paid, by me. Quietly. Discreetly. Because when the venue coordinator had called months ago about securing the dream castle Lily wanted, guess who Daniel conveniently forgot to answer? So they had called me. And I, desperate to still feel included, had signed the checks. My name was on the contracts. I held the keys to this entire wedding, and suddenly, the idea of sitting in silence didn't feel right anymore. I didn't storm over to confront Lily. I didn't scream at Daniel. I didn't cancel anything, though God, I was tempted. No. I waited. Because real revenge isn't loud. It's surgical. It's quiet. It waits until the perfect moment, when the knife slips between the ribs so cleanly that no one sees it coming. I contacted the venue coordinator and arranged a little surprise. A microphone, available for me at any moment I requested. Nothing dramatic, I promised. Just a few words. The coordinator agreed, not realizing the storm I was about to unleash. The big day arrived. I wasn't on the guest list, but I didn't need to be. My name was still on every contract. When I arrived early, staff greeted me with polite nods. I walked the halls of that castle-like venue, taking in the extravagant decorations I had unknowingly funded. White roses draped from golden arches. A string quartet rehearsed under a chandelier that sparkled like starlight. And then, there she was. My daughter. Lily floated across the room in her gown, looking like a princess. For a moment, my heart ached with pure, maternal pride. I wanted to hug her, to tell her she was beautiful, but then Vanessa appeared, adjusting Lily's veil like she was the rightful mother. She caught my eye across the room, smirked, and whispered something in Lily's ear that made her laugh. I felt invisible. Again. But not for long. The ceremony began. Guests filled the rows, murmuring in awe at the spectacle. I slipped into a seat at the back. Daniel's face twisted in fury when he spotted me, but he couldn't have me thrown out, not when the venue staff knew my name, not his. Vows began. Lily's voice trembled with joy as she spoke. The groom smiled, utterly oblivious to the storm brewing just feet away. And then, my moment. As the officiant asked if anyone had objections, I stood. Calmly. Deliberately. The room gasped. I walked forward, microphone in hand, and said, before this wedding continues, there's something the bride, and all of you, deserve to know. The crowd froze. Lily's smile faltered. Vanessa's face drained of color. Daniel hissed my name like a curse. And then I told them. That the venue, the catering, the flowers, the very air they were celebrating in, was paid for by me. That the new family had built their fairy tale on the foundation I quietly laid, and that as of that very moment, I had cancelled all further payments. The honeymoon suite? Gone. The open bar? Closed. The photographer? Packed up. Silence fell across the room like a tidal wave. My daughter's perfect day, Vanessa's perfect show, was collapsing in real time. Lily broke. She sobbed, mascara streaking her face, as the guests whispered. Some glared at me. Others at Vanessa. The stepmother tried to smooth things over, stammering about misunderstandings, but no one was listening anymore. I placed a small box on the gift table. Inside was the heirloom necklace I had saved for this day. I didn't say a word. I just left it there, for her to find when she was ready. And then I walked out. Hours later, my phone buzzed. It was Lily. Her text read, Mom. I made a mistake. Can we talk? I stared at the screen for a long time. My heart wanted to run to her, to fix it all. But another part of me whispered, she chose. She uninvited you. She has to live with it. And that's where I'm stuck. Because maybe the sweetest revenge isn't destruction. Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's making her sit in the ruins of the wedding she built on betrayal. Or maybe, it's letting her back in, making her realize that forgiveness is something Vanessa will never be able to give. I don't know yet. What would you do?